Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to this video, guys. My name is Yaqut Zaman, and here's another introduction to a book. So someone's requested that I do a little intro on the book Taqreeb, al-Tahzheeb. Now this is a very famous book when it comes to ilm al-rijal. Let me just give you a little understanding of ilm al-rijal. Now if you imagine you have a timeline, and this timeline is basically from the time of the Prophet ﷺ. So let's say from 0 Hijrah all the way till in today's time 14 hundreds. This is obviously the Islamic calendar. Now what happened in history was that people were very particular about the statements of the Prophet ﷺ, so much so that they would memorize the people that used to narrate the narrations. So you'd actually have a statement, and then each statement would have, let's say, a companion who narrated it to a tabi'i, follower of the companion, who narrated to a taba tabi'i, etc, etc. So what used to happen was people used to actually preserve not only the statement of the hadith, as we call it, but they would also memorize who narrated it, each and every single individual. And then came the point where they would actually critically analyze each narrator. So after the Sahaba, they would critically analyze each narrator just to make sure that this narration is valid, it's up to scratch, that we can accept it, we can act upon it. Otherwise, if there's someone who has a tainted history, or some sort of a bad record or anything, and all of this can be studied in usul hadith if you're interested in that, then the narration is not acted upon. Anyway, so what happened was, over history, what used to happen was scholars began to compile. So let's say, imagine this is 100, 200, 300. Sorry for the bad writing, guys, but inshallah I'll get used to using the pad. So these are the hundreds. Now what happened basically was, over the years, scholars began to work. Actually, I made it off scale, so let me just delete that, bring that all the way over to here. So let's say it's up to there. So you had the famous books of hadith. The famous books of hadith. Now there is a misconception that people think, oh, books of hadith were written, like Imam Bukhari came over here and put B for Imam Bukhari, came over here, and then like Imam Muslim, he came over here, so M is over there, and Imam Tirmidhi came over here, and Imam Abu Dawood came over there, and Imam Ibn Majah came over there, and Nasai. So even though these scholars did come later on, the chains have always existed. So all these scholars did basically were, they compiled hadith in a systematic way, and recorded the chains all the way to the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, that's what they did. Okay, so that's a little overview of narrations, and inshallah I'll make a video in more detail on this topic of narrations and how it was recorded over history and the scholars, because these are just a handful of scholars who compiled it. There's actually many more scholars, hundreds and hundreds of scholars who actually were compiling the narrations in book form way before these guys. So that's just something I thought I'd give you a bit of an overview of. Anyway, so basically what happened was, these 6 books, these are 6 major books of hadith: Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, Ibn Majah, Nasai, Tirmidhi, Abu Dawood. So along came a scholar in the 600s over here. He lived about over here. His name was al-Maqdisi, Abdul Ghani al-Maqdisi. Okay, Abdul Ghani al-Maqdisi, and he wrote a book called Al-Kamal. I'll write in English. Kamal. This was the name of his book, Al-Kamal. Now, Al-Kamal was a book which was kind of one of its kind at that time. Pioneering book. Other books were written before that, many books. But this was a very good book, because what this had done is taken all these 6 books, and every single narrator in these 6 books, what he tried to do was try to list a catalogue of their status. In other words, whether we can accept them, whether we can't accept them, right? That's what he did. So a whole big book catalog, and he listed from alif all the way till ya the names of narrators. Now let me give you an example. Jazakumullah khair for watching this video. I hope to see all of you guys. If you guys are interested, please leave us feedback, get in contact with us. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.